What if a single moment of kindness could change 2 lives forever? In the corner booth of Sunrise Diner, 42-year-old tech mogul James Mitchell sat quietly, watching his 8-year-old son Tyler struggle with his breakfast. Tyler's cerebral palsy made simple tasks like holding a fork a daily challenge, but his bright smile never dimmed. James had built an empire worth billions, yet felt powerless watching his son navigate a world that often stared or looked away. That Tuesday morning, everything changed when their waitress approached. Her name tag read, Claire, and unlike others who served them with awkward politeness, she knelt down to Tyler's eye level. "Hey there, buddy. That pancake looks almost as big as you. Want me to help you tackle it?" Tyler giggled, nodding enthusiastically. James watched, transfixed, as this stranger treated his son not like a burden or curiosity, but simply like a kid who needed a friend. "Where are you watching this story from today?" Claire Henderson had been waiting tables at Sunrise Diner for 3 years, ever since her teaching career ended abruptly. At 36, she'd once dreamed of changing young lives in the classroom, but budget cuts and politics had crushed those hopes. Now she poured coffee and served comfort food to truckers, families, and the occasional businessman who wandered into their small town off the interstate. The diner felt like home, though. Owner Betty Martinez had given Claire a chance when no one else would, and the regular customers had become like family. There was old Pete who came for coffee and conversation every morning, the Johnson family who celebrated every birthday here, and now this quiet father and son who'd started coming in twice a week. James always ordered the same thing, black coffee and wheat toast, while Tyler struggled through pancakes or scrambled eggs. Claire had noticed how other diners sometimes stared, making the father's jaw tighten protectively. She'd grown up with a younger brother who had Down syndrome, so Tyler's challenges felt familiar, not frightening. "Mom, why does that boy eat so funny?" a child at another table whispered loudly one morning. Claire watched James's face flush with embarrassment and anger. Before he could respond, Claire appeared with a warm smile. "Tyler's learning to be a pancake expert," she announced cheerfully to the curious child. "It takes special skills to cut them just right. Tyler, show him that perfect bite you made." Tyler beamed, demonstrating his careful fork work, and the other child watched with fascination instead of judgment. James stared at Claire in amazement. In 30 seconds, she'd transformed his son from an object of pity into someone admirable. Most people either ignored Tyler completely or spoke about him like he couldn't hear. Claire spoke to him, laughed with him, and made him feel normal. But Claire carried her own burdens. James had overheard enough conversations to know she was struggling financially. Her car had broken down twice this month, and she'd mentioned to Betty about needing to find a second job. Her apartment rent had gone up, and her mother in Florida needed help with medical bills. One morning, Claire's hands trembled slightly as she poured coffee. James noticed the eviction notice sticking out of her purse when she bent to wipe Tyler's face. She was trying to hide her worry, but the forced brightness in her voice gave her away. "Everything okay with the pancakes today?" she asked Tyler, ruffling his hair gently. "Perfect," Tyler declared, syrup on his chin. "Claire makes everything better." James felt something shift in his chest. This woman, who had so little, gave his son something priceless: dignity, joy, and genuine affection. She treated Tyler like any other child, not a tragedy or an inspiration. In a world where James could buy almost anything, Claire offered something money couldn't purchase: authentic human kindness. As they prepared to leave, James made a decision that would change everything. He pulled out his phone and made a call that would set remarkable events in motion. 3 days later, Claire's world crumbled. She arrived at work to find Betty in tears, holding official-looking papers. The diner's lease wouldn't be renewed. A developer wanted the land for a strip mall. After 40 years, Sunrise Diner would close in 6 weeks. "I'm so sorry, honey," Betty whispered, hugging Claire tightly. "I tried everything. The lawyer said there's nothing we can do." Claire's heart sank. Losing the diner meant losing her job, her surrogate family, and any hope of avoiding eviction. She'd already applied everywhere within 50 miles, but small-town opportunities were scarce. The developer had bought up half the street, promising progress that would erase the community heart this neighborhood had known for decades. When James and Tyler arrived that afternoon, Claire tried to hide her red-rimmed eyes behind a brave smile. But Tyler, with the emotional intuition children often possess, immediately sensed something was wrong. "Claire sad?" he asked, reaching across the table to pat her hand with his small one. "Just a little tired, sweetheart," Claire managed, her voice catching slightly. James studied her face carefully. He'd built his fortune by reading people, and Claire's distress was evident despite her attempts to hide it. When Tyler went to the restroom, James gently asked what was troubling her. Claire hesitated, then found herself pouring out the whole story. The diner closing, her eviction notice, her mother's medical bills, the impossible job market. She'd never confided in a customer before, but something about James's quiet presence made her feel safe. "I keep thinking I should have stayed in teaching somehow," she admitted. "At least then I'd have made a difference in kids' lives before everything fell apart." "You are making a difference," James said quietly. "Every day, with Tyler. You have no idea how much." Just then, Tyler returned, beaming. "Daddy, can Claire come to my birthday party? Please." James looked at his son, then at Claire's surprised face. Tyler rarely connected with people, but with Claire, he blossomed. She'd given Tyler confidence, laughter, and the feeling of being accepted exactly as he was. "We'd love to have you there," James said warmly. Claire's eyes filled with grateful tears. "If this moment touched your heart, please give the video a thumbs up." But as they talked about party plans, Claire's phone buzzed with another crisis. Her landlord's text was brutal: "Pay everything by Friday or be out Monday." The mathematics was impossible. Even if she worked double shifts for the diner's remaining weeks, she couldn't catch up. Her mother needed surgery money, the car repair had emptied her savings, and now she faced homelessness. James watched Claire's face crumble as she read the message. She excused herself quickly, but he could see her shoulders shaking as she stood by the coffee station, trying to compose herself. Tyler tugged on his father's sleeve. "Daddy, help Claire? She helped me." Out of the mouths of babes. James looked at his son, then at Claire, struggling to maintain her dignity while her world collapsed. He'd spent years protecting Tyler from a harsh world, but maybe it was time to teach his son that kindness could flow both ways. James made another phone call, this one that would test whether money could truly solve the problems that mattered most. Friday came too quickly. Claire sat in her small apartment, surrounded by boxes and unpaid bills, wondering where she and her few belongings would go. The diner had been unusually quiet all week, as if the whole community was holding its breath, watching their gathering place die. She'd called every contact, applied for every job, even considered moving back to Florida to help care for her mother. But that would mean leaving Tyler, and somehow that felt like abandoning a child who'd become precious to her heart. Her phone rang. Betty from the diner. "Claire, honey, you need to get down here. Something strange is happening." Claire arrived to find the parking lot full of cars and a crowd gathered outside. Through the windows, she could see strangers in suits with briefcases and clipboards, measuring and discussing animatedly. Her heart sank. The developers were probably here to start demolition early. But when she walked inside, Betty was crying, not from sadness, but from shock and joy. "Claire, I don't understand any of this," Betty stammered, holding legal documents. "Some company called Riverside Development wants to buy the building and lease it back to me at the same rent I've been paying. They want to keep everything exactly the same, but they'll renovate and improve everything." Claire stared in confusion. "That doesn't make sense. Developers want to tear down old buildings, not preserve them." James appeared from the corner booth, Tyler beside him, both wearing nervous but excited expressions. "Sometimes," James said quietly, "developers realize that some things are worth preserving exactly as they are." The truth hit Claire like lightning. Your Riverside development." James nodded. "I've been watching this place, watching you, for months. Tyler talks about coming here more than anywhere else. You've given him something I couldn't buy, a place where he feels completely accepted and loved." Claire's emotions swirled between gratitude, embarrassment, and disbelief. "I can't accept charity." "It's not charity," James said firmly. "It's an investment. In this community, in Tyler's happiness, and in someone who treats my son like the amazing person he is." Tyler tugged on Claire's apron. "We saved your work home." But then Claire's practical worries crashed back. "Even if the diner stays open, I still can't pay my rent or help my mother." James smiled gently. "That's actually why we need to talk. You mentioned you used to be a teacher." "Budget cuts," Claire said bitterly. "Apparently, I wasn't worth keeping." "Tyler needs a private tutor," James continued. "Someone who understands children with special needs, someone who treats him with dignity and love. Someone like you." Claire's breath caught. I don't have special education credentials." "You have something better," James said softly. "You have heart. Tyler has made more progress in the months since meeting you than in years of formal therapy. You see him as a child first, not a diagnosis." The offer was generous. More than generous. Enough to save her apartment, help her mother, and do work that felt meaningful again. Have you ever faced something like this, where kindness came from an unexpected source? Let us know in the comments. Claire looked around the diner, her second home, then at Tyler's hopeful face. Could she really accept this miraculous turn? Could she trust that this wasn't too good to be true? Outside, the suits were still measuring, but now she understood they were measuring for improvements, not demolition. "I need to know this is real," Claire whispered, still struggling to process the magnitude of what was happening. "People don't just save entire diners and offer dream jobs to struggling waitresses." James sat down across from her, Tyler climbing into the booth beside him. "You're right. People don't usually do these things. But then again, most people don't treat my son the way you do." He pulled out his phone and showed Claire a video she didn't know existed. Security footage from the diner shows her kneeling beside Tyler, helping him cut his pancakes while making him laugh. Another clip showed her deflecting stares from other customers, protecting Tyler's dignity without him even realizing it. "I have cameras everywhere for security reasons," James explained. But these moments, Tyler being happy, feeling normal, being treated like any other child, this is what I've been trying to give him his whole life. Claire watched herself on the screen, seeing her interactions with Tyler through a father's grateful eyes. She hadn't realized how natural it all looked, how genuine her affection was. "When Tyler was diagnosed," James continued, his voice growing thick with emotion, "doctors told us what he'd never be able to do. They focused on limitations, not possibilities. Most people still do. They see a disabled child, not a funny, smart, loving little boy who happens to need some extra help." Tyler looked up at Claire with complete trust. "Claire teaches me I'm good at things." Those simple words broke through every last wall of Claire's resistance. This wasn't charity, it was recognition, mutual respect, and the chance to build something meaningful together. But the transformation wasn't just about Claire. James had been watching his own growth, too. For years, he'd fought the world's indifference toward Tyler with money and power, building walls around their small family. Claire had shown him a different approach, meeting that indifference with warmth, humor, and patient love. "I want to accept," Claire said, her voice strong and clear now. "But I have conditions." James raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "First, I want to help train other staff at the diner about serving customers with disabilities. If we're renovating anyway, let's make this place truly welcoming for everyone." Done. "Second, Tyler and I work on academics, but we also work on life skills. Cooking, social situations, and building confidence. Real preparation for independence." "Absolutely." "And third," Claire's voice grew playful, "Tyler still gets to come to the diner for pancakes. Some traditions are sacred." Tyler clapped his hands excitedly. "Pancake Tuesdays forever." James felt tears he'd been holding back for years finally spill over. This was what he'd dreamed of for Tyler, not just acceptance, but celebration. Not just accommodation, but genuine friendship. If you've been enjoying this story, subscribe to our channel for more heartwarming tales. As the legal paperwork was finalized over the following days, something beautiful began to emerge. Betty started planning the renovation with input from disability advocates. The local newspaper wrote about the diner's salvation, bringing in customers who wanted to support the community effort. Claire gave her landlord notice. She was moving to a small apartment closer to James's house, better for tutoring sessions and emergency pancake runs. But the most beautiful change was in Tyler himself. Knowing that his friendship with Claire was permanent, that his safe place was secure, gave him a confidence that radiated outward into every part of his life. 6 months later, the reopening of Sunrise Diner was the biggest celebration their small town had seen in years. The renovations had preserved every bit of the diner's cozy charm while adding accessibility features that welcomed everyone. Ramps, wider aisles, and adjustable seating made the space comfortable for people of all abilities. Claire stood behind the counter, wearing a new name tag that read, Claire, Tutor and Friend, watching Tyler demonstrate proper pancake cutting technique to a group of fascinated children at his birthday party. The same child who'd once stared rudely now cheered Tyler's careful fork movements like they were magic tricks. He's teaching them, Betty marveled, refilling coffee cups. Tyler's teaching other kids that being different isn't scary. James watched from across the room, his heart full in a way he'd never experienced. Tyler's academic progress had been remarkable under Claire's patient guidance, but more importantly, his social confidence had blossomed. He spoke up more, made friends more easily, and approached new situations with curiosity instead of fear. Claire's mother had visited from Florida, her surgery successful and spirits high. She'd hugged Claire tight and whispered, "You found your purpose, baby girl. I can see it in your eyes." The diner buzzed with regular customers, newcomers drawn by the story, and families who discovered this was a place where everyone truly belonged. Pete still came for coffee and conversation, but now he brought his grandson with autism, knowing Tyler would welcome him with open arms. "Claire," Tyler called out, "come sit with us." Claire joined the birthday celebration, watching Tyler blow out his candles with pure joy. His wish, he announced proudly, was for more friends like Claire for everyone. James cleared his throat, standing up with a small wrapped box. "Tyler, Claire, and I have something for everyone here." Inside was a key, not just any key, but the key to a scholarship fund they'd established for training programs that helped businesses become more inclusive for people with disabilities. The first recipient would be a young woman studying special education, someone who reminded them both of Claire's natural gift for seeing potential instead of limitations. "This diner taught us something important," James said, his voice carrying across the room. "Kindness isn't just nice, it's transformative. When we see each other as whole people worthy of dignity and friendship, everyone's life gets richer." Claire looked around at the faces surrounding them, Betty beaming with pride, customers who'd become family, Tyler teaching other children that differences were interesting rather than frightening. This was what she'd dreamed of in her teaching days, a place where learning and growing and belonging happened naturally. As the afternoon wound down and customers headed home with full hearts and fuller stomachs, Tyler curled up in the corner booth for a nap, exhausted from his party. Claire sat beside him, and James across from them, all three forming the unlikely family they'd never expected but couldn't imagine living without. If you enjoyed this story, please remember to like, leave a comment with your thoughts, and subscribe for more heartwarming tales about the power of human connection. Sometimes the most beautiful changes begin with the simplest acts of kindness, and sometimes those acts of kindness change everyone involved in ways they never could have imagined.